on the East Coast. It is 5 o'clock on the West Coast. It is the 18th of January in the year of our Lord 2024, season 14, episode 15, and a milestone. 650 times you have been welcome to the Clubhouse Podcast, your one-stop shop for all kinds of stuff. I think we're going to change the slogan. Welcome. My name is Rob. I am the executive producer of the Clubhouse Podcast. And I enjoy the cold, but it's nice to see the weather so I don't have to drip all my faucets. And people that don't live in Texas may not understand that, and that's okay. That Way is the official fact checker of Sooner Gator Productions, and a man whose place on the screen moved because somebody else figured something out that I didn't know. You may know him as Igbunu, but his mama named him Don Ford. I'm going to call him Don Ford. Hey, man.
I never heard of dripping faucets until I moved down here in Montana. They
don't build stuff down here too.
I know.
Yeah.
But hey, our house survived. I dripped too. I was being a responsible house owner, so no broken pipes, which we could hope for.
At the bottom of your screen is my co-host and a man who has the coolest drinking receptacle of anybody on this show. Currently, he is Alex.
Well, I appreciate that, but I don't know about the coolest, but it definitely is the Shogun of Harlem. But
showing up is.
I cannot commiserate with y'all enough. That's just a bottle, Don.
It's so cool.
I cannot. No, only if it came from the fridge. But I cannot commiserate enough. It still bugs me every time. It's like it's going to get cold. We have to drip the faucets, and I'm just like, why? And then I have to remember I'm not in Pennsylvania anymore, and nothing down here is prepared for weather of any kind.
Yeah, and people and. Well, and in the summertime, we have to water our foundation, and trying to explain that to people too. We don't live in Texas. It's a very strange thing, but want to thank everybody.
I don't want to live anywhere else, but dear God, the dumb things we have to do.
Want to thank everybody that tuned in last week for our first show back from break. We're still working out some of the kinks of everything, so we appreciate your patience with us. And, had a great time last week, but we're going to try to get back to the normal format of this show this week. Let's get right into it. A little bit of sports talk and a headline that broke today that Alex does not know about. Now, if you know anything about this show and you know Alex, you know that he is very, very, very tight ties to the New York Mets. Hello, Michelle, in the chat, by the way. The Mets announced today that next season they will retire the numbers of Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden.
I'm moderately torn by this news. Not saying they aren't deserving; they are all-timers as far as the Mets go. But as a fundamental thing, I'm actually against retiring numbers. I like the Ring of Honor method. There's only so many numbers to go around. But 100%, both Doc and Straw deserve every accolade they could get. Went into the darkest of dark pools, came back out, even if they did have to go to the Crankies for rings. I don't hate them for that. I mean, how many Mets did that? I mean, you could probably list about 87 of them.
An amazing 30 for 30 about both of them, too.
Yes, absolutely.
But they announced it today. There was apparently a conference call that they were both on and were both just emotional, which I wish I could have had the recording of, but it was referenced on Around the Horn, and I didn't have enough time to put everything together. But I wanted to make sure we talked about it. Don, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is just reference, and I understand. I can see your point about retirement and stuff. But when you get somebody just like on the level, let's say Gretzky, Jordan, Brady, if they do it so sparingly, would you, if you were them, when you get what they call GOATs or candidates for the GOATs, would you retire their jersey if you're the owner, keeping that mindset?
Absolutely not.
I get it. I understand it from both sides.
Yeah.
I understand the level of respect that comes with that. But you also look at in our Fairburg, the number 88. That when you wear that number, the weight that comes with it. Like, I appreciate that that's a thing. But I also see Alex's point too, that there's only so many numbers to go around.
Yeah.
And you look at something like the Celtics, where that list just keeps going.
Yeah.
It's
I don't want to get to the point where we have to do algebra to find out what jersey number somebody is wearing.
Or we have
just
to like
because.
we have to go to Roman numerals at that point.
And even then, people will argue because, oh, well, that's just 3, but it's I.
Yeah, so it's kind of, okay, don't get me wrong. Lawrence Taylor, I know you're a Giants fan.
Mm-hmm.
Lawrence Taylor, great all-time Hall of Famer, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame in a heartbeat, but retiring his jersey.
Yeah, but that's on a certain level, Don. It's kind of not for us to decide.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I appreciate the respect that comes. But I get it. Like, but again, if you wear that number, you know the weight that comes with that. So I see it from both sides. I respect both sides. I don't necessarily have a commitment either way.
Now, I will also have to give the Yankees their credit for Monument Park out in the outfield, where they have their own little Hall of Fame, which is really well done. But that also doesn't guarantee. I don't know if there is anybody out there that is in their Monument Park but doesn't have their number retired. But I feel like they have less numbers retired than they do have people in Monument Park. And there's no reason to have to cut off a number just because, I mean, the craziest thing about it, if you look at just baseball as a whole, it's not as crazy to retire numbers, because if you take every person who has ever played baseball in the history of the sport since 1897, there would be less than the smallest venue in Major League Baseball right now. Every single person who's ever played. It's less than what used to be Jacobs Field. So in baseball, there is that limited, because of how long-term they are, they become more associated with a number. But especially in football or different aspects like that, there's no reason to retire numbers.
Especially, like you said, with a 53-man roster.
Exactly.
You're going to get to a point where, that's why everybody can wear 0 now, or everybody can wear any number, because we have
that's what they've started doing. That's part of the argument for the expansion of it.
All right. Well, speaking of the NFL, let's get into Super Wild Card Weekend.
Do I just giggle in the background the entire time? I just want to know.
Still dealing with it.
You're focusing on the negative, sir.
I will also say, I feel like I hit more than I missed when we did our picks last week. Cleveland was giving 2.5 to Houston. Houston was like, take your 2.5. We're going to beat you by 31.
I was
CJ Stroud balls out. 45 to 14 in the game, in the 4th coldest game in NFL history at Arrowhead Stadium. I believe I had this one too. Miami was getting 4.5, and I said it wouldn't be enough, as we lose by almost 3 touchdowns. And honestly, I am not disappointed. First of all, I've said it on the show, it is well documented. We were not going to win this game. I say like I have anything to do with it. Also, can we stop with the whole Miami's in cold temperatures? Not everybody on the team lived in South Florida their entire lives. Some of these guys lived in cold weather cities and played football in them. Can we leave that narrative behind, please?
Probably also, not, but it should.
This team was so banged up. Mm-hmm. Like, watch the last episode of Hard Knocks, and you'll see what this team had to do just to put 11 on each side. So, and all these people that are saying all these things about the Dolphins, stay in your yard. At least watch Hard Knocks in season so you can understand what this team dealt with. And with what this team dealt with, especially in the second half of the season, I am not sad. I am proud. This team exceeded my expectations and put 11 on the board. Alex.
And even with it being a focal point on the Dolphins, phenomenally done, as Hard Knocks always is, you have to realize almost every team is dealing with a lot of injuries by the end of the season. Miami just happened to have them in a bigger focal point, whether it be every pass rusher they had or multiple wide receivers still working their way back, or I can't even tell you where Durham Smythe came from, but all of those things. You have them in focal points. In the NFL, it's trying to limit injuries to your biggest contributors. And unfortunately for the Dolphins, this was the bigger thing than the weather.
But again, I'm proud of this team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to what we do next season. Again, I got to get out of that we mentality because I have nothing to do with it. I've been
But
thinking.
we understand where you're coming from.
I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And then we go to Arlington, Texas. I believe I had this one too.
I think I might be 0-3.
Dallas said, "Hey, we'll give you 7 points, Green Bay," and Green Bay went, "Sure, we'll go ahead and see." And don't, if you didn't watch this game, first of all, and have been able to not see because the Cowboys, this game is not as close as that score tells you.
Nope.
Oh, no.
48-32 when the over-under Green Bay has it +5. This game, as Chick McGee likes to say, he always talks about, because he's a big gambler, and he's like, what happened to the majestic times of the meaningless field goal or touchdown to cover a spread? This is kind of what happened. Like, this game, the end of this game literally defines garbage time. And when you're in garbage time halfway through the fourth quarter, this game is not as close as that.
I think they were in garbage time in the third, sir.
But I'm just saying, like, this game is not as close as that scoreboard shows by a long shot.
But as you are wont to say, there are glaring holes the Cowboys always have.
Yep.
And this was a microcosm of their 3 biggest issues. I'm going to leave the one that you always say, but for me, Mike McCarthy does not make good changes on the fly. And 2, Dak Prescott can't light it up until he's playing bad defenses, which Green Bay's secondary happened to be starting in the third quarter. Yeah. If you're a pro quarterback, you should light up reserves.
Green Bay came to play. And what have we said for years? It's the Cowboys secondary and the Rangers pitching in this town. Everybody knows there's a problem, but nobody wants to do anything about it. And then you get a guy that makes like 3 plays, and all of a sudden, we've solved the problem. Sorry, you haven't.
And
Respect
that's where the biggest
LA for the video he put up. He's still a fan. He's one of the true Cowboy fans. So I'm giving love to that dude.
Absolutely.
I'll give that LA big time on that. And here's the thing. You're going to say it's my love for Tomlin is not, or dislove for Tomlin is well noted as a coach. But I'm going to say this, McCarthy, there was a bad game. It was a bad game. Yes, he's the coach. Buck stops with me, whatever. But that talk of we need to fire him. He's had some good seasons.
That's this town. They win 12 games every season he's coached here.
Yeah, I know.
But that's this town. And I've told this story a million times, and I'll tell it a million more. The Ticket in Dallas did it way back in the day. Did a bit, and it was perfect for the way this town works. It was opening day for the Rangers. Now, how many baseball games are in a regular season, Don?
162.
So their mid-morning show does a promo, and they go, all right, opening day for the Rangers. If they win, let's talk World Series. If they don't, let's build for next year. That's the way this town works. It's that culture of winning that drives me to the brink of insanity. And it's like
every year, we're going to the Super Bowl. No, you're not.
Coaches coach, players play. By the way, the Combine announced that it will in 2025 remain in Indianapolis. In Ford Field, I've said it last week, I'll say it again. If the trend continues, go all in on the Jets next year, because it'll be the year after they were on Hard Knocks, as Detroit wins a playoff game in a fantastic game to watch. I watched every down of all 6 games this weekend. What a weekend of football. Super wild card weekend works for me. Detroit was giving 3, so if you took them with the points, you did not win. There's Mike. I see you, brother. How are you? Detroit wins by a point, and just watching Jared Goff get interviewed after that game, it warmed my heart. Don, let's talk about. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Alex. Go ahead.
I really appreciated some of the love that Stafford and the family got because he was very emotional going back to Detroit. But did you see the jackets that they had made for the girls?
I did not.
Okay, so all of his daughters were born while he was a Lion. So every single one of them had Detroit born, LA raised to show love to both teams. And I just thought that was awesome.
Did you see not the video they played before the game, but the video that was released on X, formerly Twitter, with Eminem?
You mean the one that I shared on Instagram?
I don't know, dude.
Is it the Lose Yourself video?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
It's just him looking into a camera and going, dude, talking to Stafford.
Oh, yes, I did see that one.
Where he's dude, I wrote for you. Give us this one.
Yeah. But what was really cool to me was during the game, they wound up putting him up on the screen, pumping up the crowd, just your traditional thing, and then started mouthing the words to Lose Yourself, and the entire stadium wound up singing it. It was awesome.
So Detroit wins for the first time since I was a freshman in college.
My favorite fact that somebody said was, hey, Lions are the only team in the NFL that haven't lost a playoff game in 30 years.
Don, let's go to Western New York.
Okay.
Steelers, Buffalo. I believe I had this one.
I think we all did.
Buffalo was giving 10. Didn't need it because they win by 2 touchdowns. And I will say this. Pittsburgh has a lot of the same problems Miami did.
Mm-hmm.
However, can you get your guy Pickens to calm down just a little bit? Just a little bit, man. And I know he's young and he's going to grow and he's going to be going to mature. But he keeps throwing tantrums like this. It's going to affect the play. That's all I'm saying. But you know what?
Pickens and OBJ.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they were getting clobbered up front. I'm thinking, oh God, this it is what it is. I expected it, but then they came back. I'll say that they put it.
They never laid down, Don.
No,
they fight for their coach.
Minutes of football, and I enjoyed it, and I respect the fact that some reporter wanted to bring up Tomlin's contract and he just walked out. I respect that, and then comes back yesterday, all smiles, and it's like, okay, you guys want to talk about the contract? What do you want to know? Because the ownership has said we are keeping him past 2024.
If he'll stay. Yeah.
Oh, dear Lord.
Well, here's the thing. Tomlin is a great coach. The problem right now is they haven't had a quarterback since Big Ben stopped really being Big Ben.
No, well, he's a good coach, but not a great coach, in my opinion. And the thing is, he has good seasons. And he never has but when you have winning records, what do you do with it when you hit the playoffs? He always chokes. In my opinion, he's a Switzer. He has a Super Bowl because of the prior coach. That's it. What's he done? That's my opinion. You make
no. I'm going to let you finish.
Yeah. I mean, we make the playoffs, or we had a winning record this year. We weren't, 7-10 and all that. But once they get to the playoffs, what's he do? Nothing. He choked. They always lose in the first round.
I have two rebuttals for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Number one, he ain't Switzer because Switzer was right after Johnson, and Tomlin had to rebuild his team over a few years before that Super Bowl.
No, it
Number
wasn't.
two.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was. We looked into it at the beginning of the year, Don. We did this on air. It was 3 years. So, number two, this is the perfect example of a fandom. Mike Tomlin is Mike McCarthy in your situation that you're calling to be fired, even though he's never lost.
And Don, let me ask you the question.
Yeah.
Who would you put in his place? Who do you think?
That's a good question.
In that's gonna take what Tomlin does and do it better. Like for my team,
Who's open right now?
I love.
Belichick.
I can guarantee you this, and hold me to this. Wherever Belichick lands, Atlanta, it will not work. Because what happened when Brady left? Absolute careening into the ditch.
Mm-hmm.
That proves where those 6 Super Bowls came from. Because he went and won another one.
Yeah, of course.
Belichick is a name. That's it. The Belichick Patriot way does not work in the current NFL. It just doesn't. The athletes now are not, they don't have the same mind frame. There's not a whole lot of sense of team. I'm saying this now, wherever Belichick lands, I wish that fandom luck because you're going to put the bar up here and you're going to set it way too high. Alex.
I think it's a perfect microcosm to look at. A coach singularly is not enough. Julian Edelman, I believe, said it best. We worked our off for Belichick. We went to war for Brady. You need both. Vince Lombardi had Bart Starr. Don Shula had Unitas and Marino. You need somebody. There is exactly one place Belichick can go that he won't fail, and I don't think they want him. And that is the Chargers with Justin Herbert. And they are enamored with Jim Harbaugh. The only place Belichick can go would be that. But I can tell you there is exactly one way it'll work in Atlanta because he's going to bring in Josh McDaniels, who is a great offensive coordinator, horrible head coach. There is already wheels in motion, and I apologize if you have this later in the run sheet, for the Bears to draft a quarterback at number 1 overall and trade Justin Fields.
That is definitely on the table.
And,
but no, is it on the run sheet of what happened today?
I want to go back to one thing on the Tomlin. He became the coach in 2007. He won the Super Bowl in 2008. Look it up.
Oh.
Of the 2008 season. He became coach in 2007. 2008 season, he won the Super Bowl. He's a Switzer.
Yeah, but the difference, Don?
And what's he done since? Squat. When it comes to the playoffs. You can't win the big one.
But the difference is he's had winning seasons every year. Switzer couldn't do that.
Yeah, it's great. But when you can't win the big one.
But again, who better?
It was 2009, but your point still stands, Don.
Yeah. The second year you won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. There's only 32 jobs. And there's a bunch of coaches, and not all of them can coach at this level. Then we get to the last game of the weekend. Wow. I don't know if I actually had this one or not. Philly was giving 3.
I believe we all had Philly.
And boy, were we
wrong.
Well,
that was ugly.
I saw an interesting thing that basically stated the Philadelphia Eagles' complete collapse is the best example of a script possibly existing, because there was but one person who gave a crap on that team, and that man retired afterwards.
And stopped by his favorite McDonald's and gave his favorite employee a signed jersey. So shout out to Jason Kelce.
That was cool.
All right, so let's go to the divisional round. That is this weekend, boys. It's time. I cannot believe it. And again, I was skeptical with the new rules for the playoffs. It delivered. I can't complain.
What do you mean by new rules? I just want to clarify.
With the new Super Wild Card Weekend format. That's only been around a few years.
I was going to say, they've used it for a few years, though.
It hasn't been very long.
No, it has not.
The Cowboys are the first 2 to lose to a 7. Let's go to Saturday at 3:30 Central. Baltimore comes off the bye to host Houston, and Baltimore's giving 9.5. Don, talk to me.
I'm giving Baltimore as much as I hate them. I'm gonna be honest. My head's saying Baltimore.
Alex.
That's so many points.
I
It's
know.
so many points, but Baltimore is the best team in the NFL right now. I got to go with Baltimore. But we're getting into the area where I'm looking at props. I'm looking at props. Give me Zay Flowers props all day. Hit the over on everything.
I'm going to go the other way.
That's
what
a lot of
happened
points. I can understand
the last time Baltimore had the bye?
You're right.
They got
That's true.
bounced. They got bounced in their first playoff game. Mike's not with me, and that's okay. Not just like Alex said, 9.5 is a lot.
Sometimes the island's the best place to be.
Houston's coming in hot. Brand new head coach, rook quarterback that is lighting the world on fire, playing like he's been in the league for a decade. Give me that plus 9.5. Saturday night, the other team that was on the bye. The Green Bay Packers travel to Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California. San Francisco also giving 9.5. Don.
I got to take San Francisco on that one. I know it's a lot of points and it's playoffs and all that, and you got tough teams, but I'm gonna have to go San Francisco.
Alex.
I want to say San Francisco, but what happened the last time Green Bay played in San Francisco?
It was not pretty.
It was a win for Green Bay earlier this year.
Mm-hmm. They were talking about that today on the ESPN.
I have to lean with as good as Green Bay has played over the last 2 months that they will cover even if it's backdoor. That's speaking of Houston, that's my concern with picking Baltimore is a backdoor cover because they're so far ahead. Same thing with Green Bay. The difference is I think Green Bay can do it.
I can't not take the 49ers. They were my pick to go all the way in preseason. I am the only person that has either pick for the Super Bowl remaining. I have to stay with San Francisco minus the 9.5. I didn't see what Mike put in there. Biased? A little bit. Sunday afternoon, 2:00 Central, Tampa Bay goes to Detroit. Detroit giving 6.5. Don, what you thinking?
Tampa's, I think, is on a big high because they won and they slapped Philly. But I think Philly just killed themselves. And I think that Tampa may be on a bigger high in thinking that the win is bigger than it was. And so that's why I'm going to go with Detroit on this one.
Alex.
If I were legitimately betting on this, I feel like you would have to wait all the way up until 90 minutes before to see if Sam Laporta is healthy. Now, two big things on that one. Detroit dominated Tampa Bay at the beginning of this year. Mm-hmm. So I feel like Detroit should easily win this. The big difference being Philadelphia also didn't have their best offensive player in A.J. Brown. Detroit, pretty healthy. And if you want to look at it, Amon-Ra St. Brown for prop betting, 12 catches, 145 yards. Pretty good stat line against Tampa Bay the first time.
And somebody on this show has been touting one Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's right there.
Great nicknames travel.
I feel like for one more week, Detroit is a team of destiny. I think that this trip goes one more week. As much as I love my beloved Buccaneers, I couldn't be happier that they won that game last week. 6.5, I think, is a safe bet because I think Detroit wins by a touchdown, but it's not going to be either. It's not going to be a runaway.
No.
Detroit's going to earn it, but I would take Detroit with the points. I love my Buccaneers, but this is the end of the road.
What I think would be a ton of fun would be Green Bay getting the upset upset, and then Detroit realizing, oh, we could host an NFC championship game, and that would be more of a coverage motivator. Plus, I'd get to watch Mike's head spin at the idea that half of his division is in the NFC championship.
And wrapping up the weekend in the divisional playoffs, Patrick Mahomes goes on the road for the first time in his career during the playoffs as Kansas City goes to Highmark Stadium, assuming it's not 130 below, even though I don't know if you guys saw the footage of the guy who had bought his beers and was just storing them in the snow, which I thought was great. Buffalo giving 2.5. Don, talk to me.
I'm taking Buffalo on that one. I just think that they're ready for it. I think they're a tough team, and sometimes I think that, with all the little hip wraps and everything that Mahomes, like his little spats and everything, I think that they're going to have a tough time in Buffalo. I will say this, though, too. Yeah, my Steelers stunk and everything like that, but to people in Buffalo, and I know no team fan is perfect and everything like that, but throwing the snowballs on the field ain't cool. Okay? I will say that.
Co-signing that.
Yeah. And again, there's been things at every stadium or through the years, but, during the Steelers, we got killed, but throwing the snowballs ain't cool. So people in Buffalo, I'm still going to take your team, though. Okay?
Oh, you're talking to the Bills Mafia. I'm like, hey,
yeah, exactly.
Alex.
The Bills should run away with this. But there are some certain injuries that make me feel like this is going to be a close, good game, especially after Kansas City lost at home as a favorite to Buffalo because of Kadarius Toney, Gator mediocre?
Former Gator player.
Former Gator participant.
Gator alumni.
Can you be an alumni if you didn't graduate? Anyways, but I feel like Kansas City is starting to improve on that offense after hearing the same narratives this season that we heard last season about a lack of wide receivers without Tyreek Hill and Rashee Rice really coming up, especially since Kansas City has the better defense and special teams by DVOA. Josh Allen, if he throws picks, Kansas City wins. If he limits turnovers, Buffalo wins. If I could find this at 3, I'd take Kansas City, but at 2.5, give me Buffalo.
I'm the same way. 2.5. It's going to come down. It's going to be a close game. This will probably be the best game of the weekend to watch. And again, Buffalo's my AFC pick to go to the Super Bowl. So I've got to continue riding this train. I hate this because I hate the Bills. But Josh Allen makes me believe in this team. And these last few games, watching Patrick Mahomes, something is in his head. He's getting frustrated. He's not the portrait of cool on the sideline that he has been in the last few years. And I think he is starting to feel the pressure of winning again and going on the road. I just think there's so much going in Buffalo's favor. It will come down to the end, but Buffalo's going to come out on top. And Mike agrees with me.
Oh, we know what Mahomes is dealing with. It's his nightmare of a wife not being the focal point of the roster anymore.
That would be Alex at theclubhousepodcast.com.
Come get it.
I agree. Second that.
And I have zero issue with Taylor Swift.
So
I do. I know we talked about the thing, but I don't care. If I turn on football, I want to watch football, not Taylor Swift. If I want to watch Taylor Swift, I'll buy her movie on pay-per-view.
Good luck with all that. Let me know how it works out for you.
Yeah.
NBA,
I still have my opinion.
NBA standings.
Garbage.
Which is?
Hey, you covered up Alex's thing. You got to let him do his bit because we let you do your bit. You guys let me do mine.
I know, man. I'm trying. It's a new C650. I'm just trying to say which is.
I trust my co-host.
Okay.
And I said it. You pooped on it.
All right. In the Eastern Conference Atlantic Division, because Atlanta is in the East, but Atlanta's not in this division. Toronto currently 16 games back, and it's January. Brooklyn's lost in a row, so they're only a half game up on them, but they're 7.5 back on the Knicks. The Knicks 3 back on the Sixers. Sixers now 5 back on Boston because you have a cousin there. In the Central Division, the Detroit Pistons, former champs of basketball, who are 4-37, kids. I'll put it to you this way. If they quadrupled their win total, they would still only have 16 wins. They're 24 back in the division. And by the way, they're almost 18 back of the Bulls. Chicago 5 back on the Pacers. Pacers a game and a half back on Cleveland. Cleveland now 3 back on Milwaukee. I'm interested in this new Giannis docu-series that Amazon's doing. Have you guys seen this?
Ugo?
Yeah, isn't it? But it's not Amazon who's doing it. Somebody.
Oh, I want to say it's like Tubi or something like that.
Yeah, something off the beaten path is doing this.
Yeah.
I am fascinated and I'm here for it and I'm going to watch it.
I'm very intrigued, especially when you see, like, because he wasn't by himself.
Yeah.
He had brothers in there too.
So in the Southeast Division, there's Atlanta. They are in the Eastern. But they should be in the Atlantic. You think Detroit's bad. The Wizards are 7-32. And they're 16 games back. They're 8 games closer to first place than Detroit is, both of them in the cellars of their division. They are a game and a half back on Charlotte. Charlotte is 8 back on Atlanta. The Hawks are now 4.5 back on Orlando. Orlando 2 games back in Miami. Looking forward to seeing that statue of Dwayne Wade that they're going to put up outside of the
Boo.
In the Western Conference, Northwest Division, where I'm sure it's very cold right now. Portland, who has a player who couldn't get to the game last night because they couldn't get him out of his house because of the weather.
Yeah, there was a lot of ice there.
I did like those all red unis they were wearing that just had the big logo in the center of the jersey. Those were sharp. Very much enjoyed those. But they're 11-29. They're 18 back. They are 10 back on the Jazz. The Jazz now 6 back on Denver, who are tied with Oklahoma City. And they are both 2 games back on the Timberwolves. In the Southwest Division, San Antonio, boy, how the mighty have fallen. The Spurs are 7-33 right now. They're 17 games back. They are 8 games back of Memphis. Memphis is 4 back of Houston. They are 4 back of the Mavericks. The Mavericks are a game back on, for the first time this year, Fly Pelican! And in the Pacific Division, because we have the Pacific Northwest, and we have both of those represented in this conference, the Golden State Warriors, 18-22. And that's the best record of those in the cellar right now. They are 8 games back. They're 2 back on the Lakers. The Lakers 2 back on Phoenix. Phoenix a game back on Sacramento. And the Kings are 3 back on the Clippers. Let's get to hockey because we can.
Are we going to start with the best hockey story or finish with the best hockey story?
You know what? Go ahead and give it to them.
All right. For anybody who has watched this show, understands the love most of us have for Letterkenny and Shoresy.
Set the tone.
Now, one of the things that we have always appreciated, especially regarding Shoresy being more hockey focused, is the fact that not only is your main actor a former minor league hockey player, but there are multiple players with experience, including one who had not played for 21 years. The reason I say had not is because one Ted Hitchcock, a.k.a. Terry Ryan of the Montreal Canadiens.
Any relation to Ken?
You both muffled over top of each other.
Don, I stepped on the bit. That's my fault, Don. My question is he any relation to Ken?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
But his Newfoundland Growlers, his local minor league ECHL team he grew up with, wound up having a rash of people very ill with the flu and could not field an entire team. And in his own words, he was about 6 pints deep during a birthday celebration when he got a call from the GM and hung up on him thinking it was a prank for his birthday until there was another call back that said, don't hang up. He wound up going immediately home to try and dry out to play hockey the next day as a 47-year-old man. And you know what he did? He scrapped, he fought, and Terry Ryan took the ice in front of his daughter for the first time.
Loved this story.
I
would
need
more things from that show, but I can't on this show.
That's also fair. But then what broke my brain even further is our local Allen Americans made a trade with the Newfoundland Growlers.
No way.
To send a player to Newfoundland for future considerations, which I'm really hoping is Terry Ryan.
If that happens,
we're going.
I will figure out a way to go to that game. I don't care if I'm standing room only on the concourse.
No. I am telling you right now, if that happens, we're getting a suite.
No
joke.
And we're bringing signs.
Absolutely. Ferda.
God, I love that story. When I saw that, I was like, all is right in the world.
Don, having heard all of that and not yet watched Letterkenny nor Shoresy, how do you feel about a man 21 years removed from the game after being a number 8 overall pick in the draft, getting to play in front of his daughter for the first time as a 48-year-old who only was playing hockey for fun and a TV show?
I think that's kind of like the rookie.
That's a great pull, Don.
Yeah.
I just
almost the same age too. No, wait, that was 37.
Jim Morris.
That story should have been in more places. That's all I'm saying. And it
yes.
wasn't. In the Eastern Conference Atlantic Division, the Ottawa Senators, they got 30 points. They could double their points and still be a point off of first place.
God.
They are 12 points back on the Sabres. The Sabres are 3 back on the Montreal Canadiens. Don, go!
That's right.
Only 3. There's 3.
Now let's be fair. He crushed it the first time around.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my fault. Canadiens are 4 back on my Lightning. Lightning are a point back on Toronto. Toronto a point back on Detroit. Detroit now 7 points back on my Panthers. And my Panthers are 3 back on Boston. In what other division, Don?
The Metropolitan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
In the Metropolitan Division, the Columbus Blue Jackets. They got 37 points. They're only 21 points out of first. They are 10 back on the Devils. The Devils are a point back on the Islanders, who are tied with the Capitals and your Penguins. Got a 3-way tie in the middle of the pack there, Don. And you boys are 5 back on Carolina. Carolina is a point back on the Flyers, and the Flyers are 4 back on the New York Rangers in the Western Conference Pacific Division. The San Jose Sharks. They're, 38 points out of first place. They are, let's see, 7 points back on Anaheim. The Ducks are 16 points back on Seattle, who had great unis during the Winter Classic. The Kraken, God, I love that. They named it that. They are tied with the Flames at 47 points. They are 2 points behind Edmonton. Edmonton is a point back on the Kings. The Kings are 5 back on Vegas. Vegas now 7 back on Vancouver. In the Central Division that has no Eastern or Western, the Blackhawks are still terrible. They got 28 points. They're, 38, 36, 34 points out of first place. They are 13 back on Minnesota. Minnesota's 3 back on St. Louis. St. Louis is a point back on the Coyotes. Arizona. There's my first screw up for the year for the NHL for that stupid team. Can't get us. The Coyotes are 4 back on Nashville. Nashville now 8 back on Dallas. Dallas 4 back on Colorado, and Colorado's only a point back on the Jets. Gentlemen, are we ready for North America's favorite game show?
Of course.
After the last answer to this, I don't know.
Because it's time to play. What is the goal differential for the San Jose Sharks? They're your team.
That boy good.
Good, terrible. Don, what you got?
I'm gonna say an even -100.
Alex.
I feel like anytime we have something that shocking, it winds up returning to the mean just a little bit. So I believe it was 92 last week. I'm gonna go 88.
88, he says. The San Jose Sharks, who have one of the greatest logos in the NHL, I don't care what anybody says.
Also true.
Start fighting through the hockey stick. It's just awesome.
Also, it was the first place that really had a cool name for their barn.
Shark Tank.
Mhm.
Didn't the Igloo come first?
But that was the arena itself, whereas the Shark Tank, they were referring to the surface.
Okay, that's fair. That is fair.
Yeah, because it's always been the Eagle at the and that's the only team that played there was they do WWE or they had the Penguins and that was it.
Yep.
It's like they
probably did concerts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They tried to do Monster Jam in it and it failed.
Yeah. It's the basic. It's the American Airlines Center of Pittsburgh, except they don't have a basketball team. It was only hockey, basically.
The Sharks have played 45 games. They are 10-31. They're on a 3-game schneid, as the kids like to say. They have 24 points right now. They have 4 overtime losses. They are 6-12-2 at home, 4-19-2 on the road. Which means with 4 overtime losses, they've got 2 in each place. They are 1-8-1 in their last 10. Don said 100.
Ooh.
Too high.
Okay.
So Alex is the closest without going over. But currently the goal differential for the San Jose Sharks is a -94. So they only lost 2.
Would you like a fun reason I went with 88?
Sure.
The story we opened up with. When I met Straw and Doc, it was 1988.
There you go. All right, let's get into some pop culture news. Shout out to Elton John. He won an Emmy this week. And with that win, he now has the EGOT.
Yep.
Nice.
So shout out to Elton John. So
very deserving EGOT.
A show that I probably should go ahead and just watch because it's been canceled after 2 seasons. Apple TV canceling Schmigadoon. This is Keegan-Michael Key and Cecily Strong play a couple who are hiking and wind up in a town where everybody thinks they're in a musical. So it's been canceled.
I've seen the ad multiple times. I did not know that was the basis.
Yeah. And apparently they had season 3 written.
Oh.
So CBS is developing a spinoff of Young Sheldon, focusing on Georgie and Mandy as young parents. And this is the last season for Young Sheldon. So,
well, he's not really that young anymore. So,
yeah, I caught the beginning of an episode after something I was watching. I was like, oh,
yeah,
he's like tall now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. That we don't talk about very much. They have renewed their House of Villains for season 2.
Yeah.
Anytime you put Johnny Fairplay in something, I'm out.
You had people I liked in it, but it wasn't enough to draw me in. And it's
from we have our thumb on the pulse of the kids with the clothes and the hair. Fox announces this week they will be developing an animated series based on ElfQuest. Did I wake up in 1997?
Elfenland. I have that game in the closet, if I remember right.
I don't even know what that is.
ElfQuest was a series of books that was like, hey, don't want to be made fun of for doing D&D. Here's the thing. And they made games out of them. And now
so basically, this is the 80-year-olds that run Fox going, this is interesting.
Well, no, it's probably the ElfQuest people going, I'll sell you the rights really cheap. HBO Max has announced that season 11, if you can believe it, of the Emmy Award winning Last Week Tonight with John Oliver will return for season 11 on February 18th. That'll be the week after the Super Bowl.
He was on Jimmy Kimmel last night.
I'm such a fan of him. I love him so much, and I love his show. But I gotta get my. But they have canceled Rap after 2 seasons. And the actual thing I beeped is the actual name of the show that I beeped.
Yeah.
That I didn't say because people can read lips. NBC/Peacock. SNL is back this weekend with Jacob Elordi as your host, and Renee Rapp is or with 2 P's, is your musical guest. Don, does that name ring a bell to you?
No.
It should.
Renee Rapp, you said?
She plays Regina in the new Mean Girls musical film.
Okay.
She's actually a pop artist and will be the musical guest on SNL this week.
That's not who I thought you meant. Does that name sound familiar to Don? Because the other one was in his worst movie of the year.
Oh, you're talking about Jacob Elordi?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Netflix has announced that Regis has been cast for The Witcher Season 4. Did you boys see this headline?
No.
One of my favorite lines in movie history came from this man who walked into an art gallery and said, "How much does that cost?" And the person looked at him and said, "If you have to ask, you can't afford it." And without missing a beat, he looked that person dead in the eye. "I'll take 2." Lawrence Fishburne joining The Witcher.
Oh, cool.
Love him.
I do too, but I'm curious how the role will fit, because Lawrence Fishburne being as big of a name as he is, I'll be curious. I'll have to ask some people how he fits.
This next question goes to Alex. We go live to Alex in Rockwall, Texas for this next question.
Okay.
You and I were once in a movie trading company.
More than once, but yes.
It was one specific trip we made. And you purchased a movie, but I don't remember. I thought you had given it to me, but I don't see it in the living room. So I'm wondering if you ended up purchasing it and keeping it. But it's a movie that I'm very interested in and will watch at some point, because Netflix has announced that in March, their series based on The Gentleman will debut.
No, actually, I think we wound up putting this back because they told us to come back next week and we never did.
That's what it was. Because I was like, I thought Alex gave me this, but it's not under the G's on the board. So I don't know what happened.
Yeah, but The Gentleman, I absolutely love that movie.
But they're doing a series that will debut on March on the Netflix.
What's The Gentleman about, if you don't mind me? That's
I think you saw it. Didn't Don screen this with you? It's a Guy Ritchie movie.
I don't know if Don was there. I think it happened on a night where we wound up with like 3 different screenings, and I might have been the only one. But essentially, it's as twisty-turny as Guy Ritchie gets, about a American transplant who becomes the pot lord of London, trying to sell his business to another nefarious businessman who's trying to drive down the price by nefarious means, and it doesn't go to scale. But you have amazing performances by Charlie Hunnam. Why am I drawing a blank? He just played an Oompa Loompa.
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant.
And isn't Statham in this too?
I'm sorry?
Statham's in that too, isn't he?
I think I
no. It's McConaughey. The other one that was really out of nowhere was Colin Farrell. That was the other one.
I thought Don. I thought you had seen that.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's a really good movie.
It slipped my mind on it.
And Code 8 Part 2 with the Amell brothers will debut February 28th on Netflix.
Now, I will also say, if you have not seen the first Code 8, it slipped by very quietly because didn't have a ton of funding. It is much better than it has business being.
I have heard that.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed it.
Code 8?
Code 8.
Yeah, Stephen and Robbie Amell.
Mm-hmm.
Code C-O-A-T or C-O-D-E?
C-O-D-E.
Okay, Code 8. It's on Netflix?
Yep.
Okay. What's the promise of that in
sci-fi thing?
It's you kind of have to see it. It's call it metahuman.
Okay.
Sci-fi.
Prime Video announcing today that they've got Chris Pratt and Taylor Kitsch signed on for a prequel series to The Terminal List.
See, the thing I saw about this was the first referring to books written regarding the terminal list. So we'll see where it goes. I couldn't make it through that show. I found it to be very dull through the first few episodes and gave up.
And Showtime announcing that season 3 of Yellow Jackets will not happen until next year as they're trying to get everything back up and running post-strike. No TV on DVD and Blu-ray. Not a lot of DVD and Blu-ray new releases this week. There's only one that I listed for films, and it's because it's Criterion Collection. But before we get there, Alex, were you a fan of the video game Until Dawn?
I apologize. I've never even heard of it.
Okay. But you did enjoy Lights Out, correct? The film about the guy that was blind and he had the home invasion.
Oh, I believe they called that something else. No, that was Don't Make a Sound.
Then what am I thinking
of? Let me double check on that one because that one was
now. 2016, Teresa Palmer, Gabriel Bateman. This is Rebecca must unlock the terror behind her little brother's experiences that once tested her sanity, bringing her face to face with a supernatural spirit attached to their mother.
Okay, yeah, no, the one that I was a big fan of is called Don't Breathe.
That's right.
With Stephen Lang.
Well, the director of Lights Out, David F. Sandberg, will be the director for the Until Dawn adaptation.
Okay.
I didn't know you were going to bring this up or not, and I don't know if it should be for wrestling or not, but there's a TV talk on a network on Vice. Is that set up for wrestling already?
I don't have any Vice news. Don, go ahead.
Dark Side of the Ring season 5 got greenlit, and it starts around March 18th. They're going to
gentlemen, I have to step away for a minute.
Yeah,
I apologize.
Not a problem at all.
Now they haven't said what stories they're going to do and stuff like that, but so March is when season 5 will premiere on Vice for Dark Side of the Ring season 5.
Okay. Movie new releases in places you get movie new releases this week. ISS. This is a horror film that I saw on the poster. Variety said, and I'm sure Don, you'll probably take issue with this. Apparently, in space, people can hear you scream.
Oh, dear Lord.
Tensions flare in the near future aboard the International Space Station as a conflict breaks out on Earth. Reeling, the U.S. and Russian astronauts receive orders from the ground. Take control of the station by any means necessary. Ariana DeBose is in this. Chris Messina. John Gallagher Jr. I recognize. That's about it. Also this week, a movie called Founders Day, which a small town is shaken by a series of ominous killings in the days leading up to a heated mayoral election. Naomi Grace is in this. Let's see, anybody else I recognize? It does not appear as...
That one kind of... Yeah.
So you got that going for you, which is... the only movie on DVD and Blu-ray this week that we have is a Criterion collection of French films from director Shangal Ackerman. Masterpieces 1968 to 1978. That's what we got. All right. We're on time. We're actually on time as we get into wrestling talk.
Woo!
Actually, I'm going to change the little thing up in the corner. If it'll let me do that. Yeah, it will. Let's just go boom right there.
Boom.
Put the Cheap Popcast up there because actually I'm going to let Alex handle the details on next Saturday when he gets back. So let's just start talking a little bit. Big weekend in our sport. Apparently Jack Perry is now part of All Japan or New Japan or one of the Japanese promotions, where he showed up with a full beard and got in the ring and ripped up his AEW contract. So have fun with that. We talked about the CW earlier, Don.
Yeah.
Remember how NWA was originally going to air Power on the CW, and then they bungled something, and now they technically are still going to be part of, by the way, will no longer be the CW. It will now just be CW.
CW, okay.
So CW on their app will start carrying new episodes of NWA Power starting on February the 6th.
Just the app, not the TV.
Correct.
Yeah,
so right now they're showing classic episodes, if you can call it that, starting February 6th, which is a Tuesday. you will be able to watch NWA Power with 3 R's on their app.
Okay.
Got that going for you.
I still want on TV though. So you know what, and you know what, I don't know, because there's that relationship that New Japan has with AEW, and like Will Ospreay still signing with AEW but finishing up New Japan and all that. I don't know if Jack Perry still has a thing with AEW, and that thing of ripping up the contract and all that could turn to him being the biggest heel, coming back to AEW as the biggest heel possible. Yeah.
We'll just have to see how this whole thing works out.
Yeah. I think that might be a ploy where, he rips up the contract, but I think it might be a ploy where they bring him back and try to, because him being the ideal heel, just being worse than MJF, might work out for him.
We'll
for what
see.
it's worth. Yeah.
TNA Wrestling is back, Don.
It?
As of last Saturday night was Hard to Kill. And as of tonight's episode, which I'll be watching tomorrow because I have to watch it on the app because I have TV, which doesn't have Access TV, they're bringing back the old Cross the Line theme.
Or are they?
Yeah, starting tonight. So I'll be hearing that in the morning.
Now, is it going to be a bunch of reruns like the last 3 weeks, though?
No, they did a thing on Sunday night called Snake Eyes because they were in Vegas for Hard to Kill. Yeah. That was their TV taping for the next 2 weeks.
Okay, all right.
They just weren't going to tape anything new because they were getting ready for the rebranding. And if you followed us on social media, we did post every day. I posted their new belts. The new belts look great. Not going to lie to you. Crazy Steve is your new digital champion. Had a lot of belts move.
Which is kind of rare for. Usually you might get 1 or 2 and sometimes none on these big shows.
But I think a lot of this was because the rebrand, they really wanted to just, stick the landing. Decay, because Rosemary has finally returned and they're not doing that weird bit with her anymore. Decay, they're your new Knockouts tag champions. Jordan Grace defeats Trinity as your new Knockouts champion with Mercedes Moné and Bailey in attendance, as well as Triple H and CM Punk. We're all there. So we're going to see how the relationship develops. Giselle Shaw wins the Women's Ultimate X, so she now has a shot at the Knockouts title. Moose is your new world champ. And then music hit, Don. Nick Nemeth is all TNA.
Nick Nemeth.
Formerly Dolph Ziggler.
Okay. All right. So he's TNA now.
Yep. Also showing up last night, Zaya Brookside, formerly of NXT UK. She is now assigned with TNA. And right in the middle of the show, a stretch SUV showed up, and George Iceman, who used to be on their pre-show, who was like their insider, very strange. He gets out in a tuxedo, escorting a woman to the building, who we see from behind with a very old school style blonde hairdo and a long flowing dress, whom we find out is named Ash by Elegance. And when I saw her first, now, Don, do you know who I'm talking about right now?
No, I don't.
All right. So I saw her and it didn't click with me. But as soon as Alex told me who it was, I couldn't not see it. So I'm going to show you a picture.
Okay.
Let's see. Open image in new tab so we don't see the name on the screen. Now, you may pick it out. And if you pick it out, you did better than I did. Because I was like, why are they making such a big deal about this? And then Alex told me who it was. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So I'm going to share this screen with you, Don. I want you to see it. Okay, so it's not in the address bar. Actually, let me see if I can go to full screen on this.
Sorry about that, gentlemen.
No, you're good, brother. We're talking about Ash by Elegance. I'm going to see if Don knows who this is.
Okay.
What do you think, Don?
That reminds me of Tony Storm. But
I said the same. When I asked Alex, I'm like, who is Tony Storm Light? What is going on right now? So you do not know who that is?
No.
What if I showed you this picture.
Are you specifically ignoring the man in the background?
Oh, I already said who. I don't know. I said who the valet is.
Who is it?
That is one Dana Brooke.
Okay.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Are you talking about this guy right here?
Yeah, Red Cup Jeff.
Some people know who that is. Not a lot of people do.
Those that have been on the high seas for wrestling do.
So
She
you're
is
saying
not
at that show, Bailey and Triple H from WWE were there at Impact.
And CM Punk.
TNA.
And Mercedes Moné.
And my thing is, Mercedes, she was at All In. What is up with her and talks? Where do you think she's going to stick in the end? Is Trinity going to go back to being the Glow in WWE, do you think, or what's
Her contract? A lot of people were saying that was her last show. She's still got stuff left on her contract.
Yeah, but the rumors are she has multiple dates. However, all of those may wind up being met January 19th and 20th during Impact tapings, or excuse me, TNA tapings
This weekend. But for some reason, I think they're still calling it TNA Impact is the name of the show. So I think you're still
probably because they already sold tickets.
So that's
what do you think do you think Mercedes or Trinity go back to WWE, or do you think Mercedes goes somewhere else? Do you think she goes AEW?
I have said the only way Trinity shows up is if Sasha Banks is with her.
And I have said they will both be back in WWE at some point. I don't know if it's this soon or if she's still driving up the price on her next contract to then retire on that nest egg.
I kind of like the fantasy booking I sent you the other day.
Why don't you share it?
So, Don, you remember when Bailey returned?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about
was it like SummerSlam or something like that?
SummerSlam.
Yes, it was.
2
In
SummerSlam.
Nashville.
Yeah.
And what happened there?
She came out with a group of people and started the division or whatever.
The Damage Control.
She brought out Dakota Kai and she brought out Io Sky, which started Damage Control.
Uh-huh.
My fantasy booking is she gets involved in the women's match after she is shunned and does the same bit with Bailey and Sasha Banks. I mean, with
Trinity and
Sasha Banks. Naomi.
Okay.
That's my fantasy booking. I don't know if they get it done that quickly, but stranger things have happened in this business.
Well, do you think Mercedes Moné will actually go to AEW?
I don't know. It's such
if Tony Khan writes a massive check, yes, which he might.
The answer to all of your questions is money.
Yeah.
I have a question as we get into WWE talk, because I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks and we didn't get to wrestling talk last week. So I carried that question over into this week. One of the things that we have always said on this show is if it's a major, every belt should be defended.
In some form, yes.
So my question becomes, in its current iteration, does the Rumble change the way we see that? Because you'd have quite a few people doing double duty.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like with the Rumble, I can give it a pass that not every belt is defended because that's not what it's about. Now, Night of Champions needs to be revamped so every belt is on the line, which was the original concept of Night of Champions in WCW. But I feel like the Rumble should be the exception because the Rumble is the attraction. Like having titles defended, I'm cool with it, but the Rumbles are the attraction. Alex.
I agree with you, but I think there needs to be an asterisk with the Rumble. Now, in past years, you would oftentimes have like the Intercontinental Champion do double duty. Like they open the show with a hot IC title match, then they wind up in the Rumble. The reason I give it a pass with an asterisk here is because Gunther makes such a good story based on how last Rumble went compared to this Rumble with him going from beginning to end, even though he didn't win. So I kind of give that an asterisk, but I still believe every title should be on the line.
I just had
I I would say that the titles that should be on the line at the Rumble are the big four. The 4 world championships, male and female.
So Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns,
Sky,
Io Sky,
and Rhea.
Okay, that's
because
fair.
the IC, because the champions will not be in the match because they're champions.
Right.
You don't want to say, "Hey, I'm going to lose it," and or I'm going to. Well, if they want to,
unless your name is Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, but if they want to do double duty, that's fine. But those big 4, because everybody else is in the Rumble to try to get a shot, except the 4 people that are defending, against the champions. So we have 4 title shots. 4 championship matches, 2 Rumbles. There's a pay-per-view. There you go. It's a major.
Alex.
The Rumble is the perfect place to do the thing that irritated us last year, where you have Roman Reigns involved in a tag match instead of defending it.
Yeah.
The Rumble is the perfect place because at that time, anybody who's in that tag match might get enough rest to be part of it. But why set up for any match? Like, I could understand the concept of, I'd be curious to see if any of AJ Styles, LA Knight, or Randy Orton wind up in the Rumble as well, just because you have that multi-man. And then again, the only one of those that I could really see doing that would be LA Knight, even though he's not that much younger than the others, because Randy Orton's going to be like, I wrestled a match, I'm tired, I'm good.
Yeah. I just had an interesting thought.
Hit me.
We've talked on our show before about, for lack of a better term, sectioning off the year with certain things. So, like,
yes,
in the Rumble, you get the shot at Mania. You win Money in the Bank. Only have until SummerSlam to cash in. Mm-hmm. And what if you had a clause in the Money in the Bank briefcase that says you could cash it in if you're eliminated from the Rumble and get back in at any point?
Interesting. I feel like that would get a little too complex, but where you're thinking.
Stay with me. You get to a point where, how many years have we watched him? Like, we all know who 30 is going to be. We all know who 30 is going to be. So let's just say, like last year, it was Cody. Comes to the ring at number 30. Oh, okay. All of a sudden, Damian Priest comes back and goes, no, now I want back in because now I'm the fresh man. And so now it's a double because he cashes in and wins the Rumble and still gets the title shot.
May I attack your wrestling logic for a second?
Sure.
Why use a guaranteed championship match to get into a match for a championship match
that you might not even win? You got to guarantee. Yeah. You got a guarantee shot at a title whenever you want within a year. And I like the year.
My problem is what have they done with it? He's had that doggone thing summer.
Yeah, I think that's where our bigger issue is, trying to find something that works for Priest, and I think they know where they're going. I genuinely do. Over the last 2 to 3 weeks, I think they know where they're going with Damian Priest.
I mean,
with him softening.
You want to win the Rumble and all that, but if you got Money in the Bank, you could say plain and simple, I'm using my shot at WrestleMania, and you get the shot.
Or the guy at 30 comes in, you get down to the last 2, he comes in, cashes, eliminates both of those, wins the Rumble, break even.
Yeah, but you might come in, cash in, and lose that point. And you lost your shot no matter what.
It wouldn't be the first time somebody cashed in and lost.
May I addendum your idea? Because sure. I think I have a one-upsman on this one.
Okay.
It's not the Rumble. It's the Elimination Chamber. You let everybody else fight it out through the chamber, then you cash in as, I'm actually participant 7, and then you cash in on whoever that is.
Here's the thing.
Risk there, but
usually unfortunately, the chambers are usually a title match.
Yeah,
they could cash it in anytime anyways. I'm coming in.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if you want to give it that kind of pop with being in we'll call it I don't want to call it a title match because it is a title match, but a named match, whether it be the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber or Hell in a Cell, which isn't part of it.
Unfortunately, Edge already did that at the Chamber. That's
But,
when he
but what I'm saying
Yeah.
is if you're having to attach it to something, the only one you have is Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
Because as much as I like the creativity you're putting into it, Rob, I can't follow you on that journey. It
Or give us
it
something
doesn't even make wrestling logic.
I miss the days where you even had guys that would be in a match and that the winner got to be number 30.
You know what? I do dig that because didn't we have China win a battle royal on Raw for that at one point?
I don't think it was for number 30, but it was for, and like they had one spot remaining that they hadn't named or something.
I think
But
that
yeah,
was actually for number 30, though.
I don't think she was number 30, but I could be completely wrong. Cora Jade out and for an indefinite time frame after tearing her ACL at a house show this weekend. That's why she was replaced by the newly named Maddie Renkowski in that battle royal, which we'll talk about here in a minute. And Tuesday night, The Miz was on Inside the NFL because they had just done a promo for NXT moving to the CW. I'm sorry, to CW because they're dropping the in October. But it was a weird segment because all they kind of did was bag on him for being a Cleveland fan. It was weird. It was a very strange thing.
Well, it's the only thing you can bag on the Miz for. Everything else in life, he's winning more than everyone else.
But if he's there to promo the NXT thing,
I get you, but
they didn't.
Yes, they should do that.
They had a graphic coming out of the break, and that was it. And then he came out for like 5 minutes into commercial. They showed him smashing the Bengals guitar at the season opener, and then Ocho came out with an acoustic guitar with Brown's helmets all over it, and he smashed it over a ladder. It's a waste of the Miz, in my opinion. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, even though they didn't say it on SmackDown, are now the Pride. And carrying
I really think they're going to have to work on that one.
Pride?
Like a Pride Alliance.
I know, but
it's a bad name.
And Karrion Kross's group is now the Final Testament, which seems a little wordy for me.
Yeah, it's too many syllables for something. Like they're gonna have to go with the TFT or something like that just to make it flow.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Although I think it was kind of interesting going through the Dusty Classic winners. AOP are now the only whole team that are still in it from the early years. That are with the company from the early years.
There was a bad spot in the Carmelo Hayes Austin Theory match. They both had contusions, but were cleared by medical. So there was that. Alex and I talked a little bit over text on Monday night about the Raw set. I was kind of hoping it was a new set because I really dug it. But because of the amount of snow on the roof in Little Rock, they couldn't even put up their lighting trusses. A lot of people were like, oh, they're doing extra pyro tonight. No, that wasn't the case. It was because they literally couldn't get the set to Little Rock, and what they had to modify because they couldn't hook anything up to the roof. But I thought it looked great.
And respect to Triple H giving all of them a shout out for getting that up. I like seeing that.
I thought it looked cool.
Yeah.
It had a little bit of old school Raw to it.
That's exactly what I was saying, or that I was thinking. You know what it actually kind of reminded me of on one level? Remember the original Backlash set with the big hook?
Oh, I loved that.
I wish that they had done something like that, but I know that they were on short notice.
Alex caught something that I didn't and posted it on our social media on Tuesday. Because the one note I had was, Dom's got new augmented reality because him and JD Dunn came out with it.
I dug his.
That was cool looking. And then we saw on the Tron how I can't. I have to pull this up because there's no other way.
Please do it. I died laughing when I saw it.
I got to do it.
Don, are you not familiar with what happened?
No.
Well, let me precursor this because reality becoming story is hilarious to me because you know that R-Truth has new merchandise in the WWE shop, right?
I didn't know he had new merchandise, but I liked how he's been changing the shirt.
And he's out selling everything.
He has the top 2 shirts in a week. And they're all the Judgment Day and R-Truth. But there's also the Judgment Day and the banner, which Rob's going to pull up for us.
So Judgment Day has their, they've got the thing with
The
their
hooded
augmented
great
reality, and they're all like, one's holding a sign and the other one's got the scales, right? You know what I'm talking about, Don?
Yeah.
I missed this completely. And it was the first time I saw it was when Alex posted it. And then once Alex posted it, I saw it everywhere.
Funny how that happens.
Well, I mean, sometimes it's you and sometimes it's just everybody else catching it too.
That's also fair. Well, I'm just saying that the batting average is pretty good there.
I just want
But
you to
I peed myself laughing. I had to change shorts. I laughed so hard I peed. I'm not even joking.
This aired live, Don.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. He's original. And I love that promo he did too.
That guy is living his best life.
Oh, and speaking of which, did you see the other side note that popped up?
I don't know if I did or not.
So Ron Killing's oldest son, maybe not his oldest, but his son is a basketball player for one of Penn State's branch campuses and scored his 1,000th point. And they went through the whole deal about Chris Killings, and then the picture is just R-Truth, exactly like when he's photobombing the Judgment Day.
And full R-Truth.
I love that man so much.
Congrats to his son for getting his 1,000th point.
Absolutely.
And yes, Seth did tweak the knee. We don't have any updates on if he's going to be out and how long. If so, how long? We're just waiting to hear word right now. From NXT, Trick and Mello advance in the Dusty, and shout out to Enofe with the polka dot trunks.
You know what? Enofe and Blade really impressed me this week. I have been bagging on them for a while as just being random. They did great work this week.
Shout out to Joaquin Wilde with the perfectly done suicide dive DDT onto the outside as the LWO also advances in the Dusty this week. We had the women's
in a row. He did something nobody else does. That they're really working for it.
We had the women's battle royal, which actually I thought was really well booked for the number one contender for the women's title. Lola Vice turns on Elektra Lopez, so we're going to see how that turns out. Ren Sinclair is the name that they're using for Maddie Rankowski now. And
not sure how I feel about the denim outfit.
Is this a match that Roxanne Perez needed to win? This is the part that baffles me, because Don talks a lot about when we talk about Money in the Bank, how it should be used to take somebody that needs to be elevated, that maybe just needs that extra little push. To me, that's what this battle royal was, but Roxanne Perez doesn't need it.
Oh, well, it's what it should have been. My problem right there is I think Roxanne is one of the correct answers to have come out of that. They were highlighting Kalani Jordan, and she's not there for me. I love the idea. Don has been spot on for years about using matches like this to elevate talent. Nobody else can lay claim to this in my mind. It is a Don Ford trope in the best of ways.
We give credit where credit is due.
Thank you.
But I also don't know who NXT that would be. I struggle with who it would be. I mean, I could see you making an argument for Fallon Henley, but didn't she already have a shot? You could make an argument for Kiana James, but she kind of already had a shot. But I would love to see somebody else who have come in. Full disclosure, I'm kind of shocked to Blair Davenport is still there, just because she is so not of the same age bracket as the rest of the roster.
It was just odd.
Who is there anybody in mind for you that you would have put in this situation to get elevated?
I really like, and her name escapes me right now, but she was in the breakout tournament. She was the one that had the samurai sword. I think you were using a Russian name with her.
They were. It was like Katrina Valenova or something like that.
Very
Valentina.
Carmen
Valentina, I think.
I liked her work in the breakout tournament in the one match she had. I think that she's got something, and I think that would have been a good elevation, in my opinion.
No, and I don't disagree with that. I think they have her earmarked because she's now with Chase U. I think they have her earmarked for that storyline. Don, is there anybody that stands out to you that you would have elevated with this?
No.
Fair enough.
Yeah, they're pretty shallow. I was worried that they were going to try and hotshot Lash Legend.
I always like Chase U, and I think they need to go a little.
Oof. Don, back up. You're glowing yourself out. There you go.
Light just blew you out real hard.
Yeah.
As we get into AEW talk, apparently Black Taurus has allegedly signed with AEW now, and they kept calling him Black Taurus. I'm like, that's not his name.
He's used Taurus on this side of the border.
Taurus,
so I don't take issue with it.
Taurus sounds cooler. Let's see. Collision. No, there on Collision there was no lower third for Adam Page. I was very upset.
Yeah.
Dynamite last night. I do like the silver and black motif with Luchasaurus. I can't call him Kill Switch. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's a little strange. I like that they're shaking it up because it gives it the more scales aspect. But I feel like one of two things is going to happen. Either we have a surprise return by Jack Perry as Jungle Boy, or we get him out of the mask for this bit, or give him a different mask. Like, let Christian Cage try to rebrand him as... Ooh, I got a fun one for you. So we're already laying the groundwork about Luchasaurus / Kill Switch not being 100% on board, but still following orders. What if we get to a point where Christian is starting to talk about, like, no, the Prodigy is doing what the Prodigy is supposed to be doing. We need to change you. I have worked with many great big men, and we start to make him look kind of like Kane.
Oh, dear.
Or something of that ilk. And he starts to slowly more and more rebel at the idea of you changing who I am. Okay. And that's how you get the break off. I like that idea.
We have breaking news from men's college basketball. South Florida upsetting number 10 Memphis, coming back to win that game. It's an upset.
You're very happy about that.
I am, but it's an upset. It'll be on the ESPN tomorrow. Watch.
Yeah, it will.
Not that I'm saying that they should have done this last night. And not that I would say that in that particular match. But what harm is there in giving Dustin a TNT run? Give him something.
I think that might be part of the end game here. I think there's going to be a level where it becomes Christian Cage, Prodigy, Kill Switch, and a Dustin team of its ilk to earn another TNT shot when we get to like Revolution or something.
We have new Ring of Honor World 6-Man Tag Champs on AEW programming with Bullet Club Gold. So, and then they fired a cardboard cutout of Jay White and hired one of Juice Robinson.
He's not there.
Apparently Tony Schiavone was not feeling well last night, so he was not there. Tony Storm coming down and thinking Ian Riccaboni was him was absolute classic television. She's like, "You've lost weight. You look amazing. Are you working out? What is the secret? You just look great." And then she called him she's like, "Oh, Schiavone," and I went, "Oh, that's what we're doing."
But still, the noting of what broke me the most, and we talked about this before the show, was somebody or Riccaboni replying with, "Oh, that's some kind of language," and Taz just going, "No, that's Nigel McGuinness. That's just how he talks."
Alex set up a post last night that I reposted. That Jay Briscoe tribute, the whole thing beginning to end. The fact that it's in a year is it. You could have knocked me out with a feather. And then bringing out the daughter, I was like, I'm done. That was amazing.
See, interestingly enough, that was the hardest part, was having that connection and literally making the post because it was a year. And literally after I hit it, Mark Briscoe's on my screen, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do well right now. And then to see the girls walking,
Yeah.
I
can't even imagine the noise level in that arena, because there's no way what came across on television did that justice, because that place lost its mind, and I was here for it.
I was broken.
Yeah.
I was 100% broken when that happened.
I'm so glad I watched Dynamite last night in on delay instead of waiting till today, because if somebody had ruined that for me, I'd have been very angry. But then we get to the main event, and I appreciate that match. I thought Joe really took care of Hook well. There's a couple of points where I was like, woo.
The Uranagi?
Yeah. But it's a match that I knew how it was going to end. And I felt like it's a little too early. I like that they kept Taz out of ringside. They kept him at the desk. They didn't write him to get involved in any way, shape, or form. I appreciated that. And Taz has been really, really good about letting Hook be his own man. Mm-hmm. And I respect that. I mean, as much respect as I have for Taz anyway, that just makes it that much more. I just felt it was too early.
Now, Don, did you want to jump in on any of this before I?
No, I don't disagree with anything. The other thing I want to bring up is maybe Dustin Rhodes. Does he even want the title?
That's a good question.
I mean, it's a fair question.
It's like Tommy Dreamer. He never wanted the ECW championship. He never wanted to beat Raven.
Former Impact Digital champion, Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah. You get the point. And he finally gets the Dreamer, always the chase. He gets the title. He has the ECW championship for about 10 minutes and loses it to Justin Credible after beating Taz. But it's the point is he knows his career's on, it's in the, the twilight of his career. Let's be honest. He won't go forever, and he knows it. And
shout out to DDP for giving him his career back, because he said no bones about it. DDP Yoga put 10 more years on his career.
But do you think he really wanted it? That's the question.
I don't know. I'm just putting it out there that I think I think he deserves something before he. Yeah. That's just me.
I would like to see him either in a tag team or a 6-man tag, something where it makes more sense that somebody of his advanced years, even though the man still goes as well as just about anybody. But give him some kind of, even if it's you know what he would be good for? An underdog story in the Hart tournament.
Okay.
Give him that run in the Owen Hart. Let him have that time to shine, not something that stays around.
Yeah. Because he gets a belt for it.
Yep. Now, circling back to what I said, and I actually kind of wildly disagree with the idea that Hook getting a title shot was too early. Now, same concept as you had mentioned, Rob. We knew Joe wasn't losing in his first defense. No chance on that. But this was similar to what we were talking about with the Battle Royal. This is to elevate somebody, show that Hook can actually go, and he's not just not exactly happy about what I'm about to say, but I can't shake it, that he's not Goldberging the thing.
Yeah, no, that's a fair assessment.
But there's two aspects to it. Number one, you show how talented that kid can be in a legit match with a legit star, knowing the outcome, but instead of continuing to have those Goldberg-like comparisons, Hook valiantly fights to his first clean loss.
Which I like the whole concept of him continuing to get up and is that all you've got? And I did like it. I don't know. It just felt weird.
For me, I like the idea that it shows like, okay, Joe is proving by winning the match that Hook's not ready yet. But he's showing that Hook is a main eventer in waiting. And the match sells that on top of it, along with how Hook sells the kicking out of the muscle buster at 1, which shocked me. But at that same time, it's elevating a younger talent that they know is going to be the guy. Now, with his presentation between, the Batman 89 symbol that we talked about with Hook, the Action Bronson entrance, everything. The kid doesn't say a word and oozes more charisma than Jack Perry has in his entire life. That tells you everything you need to know.
And a great head of hair, by the way. The kid's
Also
got a
true.
great-
I want to see him with a goatee so that he can prove that he actually does have to shave. That's all I'm asking.
A couple of Ring of Honor notes from last week. Soraya's brother Zach Knight is on their roster now.
Formerly Zach Zodiac.
Yep, and they had a 4 corners match for a shot at the women's television title, which was won by Queen Aminata, who apparently has been around for a minute because I saw an interview with Sky Blue this week. They both had their first matches the same night with AEW.
Yep.
And how about MPX getting a little shout out? Don, did you see that?
Actually, no, I didn't.
They did a video package where Athena was training for her next defense, and she was at MPX.
Oh, really?
Had the big MPX banner in the background. She got attacked by Nyla Rose. I was like, oh, look, MPX. So that was kind of cool. We're getting close to time, and because Alex missed the beginning of this segment, I want to give him time at the end of this segment to cover what he was going to cover at the beginning of this segment as we transitioned into wrestling talk about something I was giving you time to talk about this evening.
You're gonna have to spoon feed me on this one because I thought
the Royal Rumble.
So I think it's actually better for us with that in the close, or well, at this point. So we have talked, but you've seen us on social media talking about the Royal Rumble at X Golf Frisco. X Golf Frisco on the 27th. We're going to be starting early because we're going to be doing a show live from X Golf Frisco. We're going to have a couple of bays available for some golf competitions. Thank you, and shout out to Rich Lemieux, friend of the show.
We have 2 of them, we have Bay.
Yes, we do.
You're welcome.
Let him push the button. But the other thing that we're going to be having is a little game you can play along with, but we're going to have a couple of levels on it. There's going to be a lot of different competitions, a lot of different raffle-like events, but the big one that we are very happy to have you participate with us in is our own Royal Rumble. We will have the big tumbler with all the balls, and then
right over there.
Extra thing,
right over there,
and one extra ball that we will explain when we get there. But what we're going to do so that we can make sure that we have this be an entertaining little raffle version, 100% of the proceeds go to 3 things. $10 for an entry in the women's rumble, $10 for the entry in the men's rumble, because we're all about equality.
Yep.
But you will draw a random number or picture. We'll cover that more when we get closer. If your competitor coming out at that number wins the Royal Rumble, you will get $200 for that rumble. If your competitor, Santino Marella's it and is out first, you're going to get $50. And you're going to tell me that the math doesn't add up, right, Don?
Yeah. Well, no, there's 25. There'd be $25. I mean, $250. So 25 entries. So there's 5 extra.
Okay, so there's $50 more for each rumble. We are going to send that money to Connor's Cure.
Cool beans.
So if you want to come out and you have fun, we're going to have golf competitions run by Rich Lemieux and the people at X Golf. We're going to have other competitions. We're going to have cornhole. We're going to have the plea up on the big wall. We're going to have it on TVs potentially, but we're also going to have games throughout. You can wind up winning money. You can win gift cards. You can win a bunch of things. You can pay for food, but we're going to have everything available to you to have a good time. The entire Royal Rumble at X Golf Frisco.
And the coolest part, no cover charge. So you can come take that money, get in on the Rumbler Tumbler, take that money, get you some food because they do great food. They got a full service bar at X Golf. It's a fantastic facility. If whether you golf or not, it's going to be a great time. And we want everybody to come out and hang out with us. We're going to do this show live for an hour, as we always do. And we really want people to just to come out and have a good time because the X Golf has been so gracious to us, and there might be more coming. That's all I'm saying. But we can't make it
and
work if y'all don't come out.
we are also going to have a free Royal Rumble contest that even the guys on the show don't know yet. But let me tell you, you can get in on it.
You also might get a shot. If you are the winner of the Rumbler Tumbler contest, you get to put this on your shoulder. We're going to take some pictures here. We're going to plaster it all over social media. Look at this bad boy.
So let me ask you. Say the $50 for the Santino Marella. You said, Alex, is that the first person eliminated or the fastest?
The first person.
Okay, because Santino Marella.
No. Don, you're 100% right. I was merely making a tongue-in-cheek joke. I'm not going with facts.
Okay,
I know you're the fact checker, but we don't need to go into it on this.
I want to really
talk clarification.
Yeah,
I want people to
it's the first one out.
First one out. Okay,
the magnitude of this belt. All right.
Yeah.
First of all, look at it. Look at it. It is a full-size title belt. Okay, you can see it's flopping around like this. Hold on, I gotta send this.
Knock on it.
That's solid. Look how thick that bad boy is right there. Look at that. And it's so fluffy on the backside. It's so fluffy. It's so fluffy.
It's so fluffy, I'm gonna die.
Like, if you know me, I am 5'11", 260. So if that tells you the size of this belt as I put it on my shoulder, we are going to have this belt with us at X Golf. If you win, you're not taking it home because then we might not ever see it again. But
you will have 3 opportunities to be the title holder during the event.
Bad boy right here. You hear that? That's solid metal, kids. This ain't no flimsy belt. This is the real deal. Holyfield. And maybe this isn't the only show belt I bring with me. You don't know. There's another one right over there that we'll bring too. Maybe we'll have different belts for different competitions. You don't know.
Maybe it could pop up at X Golf Frisco randomly.
I don't either. But that's beyond the point. Next Saturday, January the 27th, we will be live on the air at 5 o'clock Central because the pre-show starts at 6 o'clock Central with the plea starting at 7 o'clock Central. We will be broadcasting live, so we will be streaming from X Golf Live. Like Alex said, we're going to have 2 huge projectors playing this plea, and it's going to be awesome. I mean, I'm excited for us, but I get more excited because X Golf is excited. Like they are welcoming us in with open arms. We want to show up and show out. We are also going to be providing sodas for people and bottled waters that we'll be picking up. But if you want food or booze, you're on your own there. We can't pay for everything, kids. We got day jobs. But we want you to come hang out with us next weekend. Alex and I are pretty much going to be there all day on Saturday, setting up and running testing and everything. I cannot say enough good things about X Golf. It's a fantastic facility. The golf simulators are top-notch in the world. The staff is outstanding. They really are excited to have us there. We're going to be doing all the things, man, and we want you guys there because this is history. This is the first time we have done a plea in public since the invention of the WWE Network. Let that sink in, children. And the reason we stopped doing them was because at the time, the facility that we were going to, the venue we were going to, didn't have the necessary logistics to handle the network. So we're very excited to have them with us. We're very, very excited to be there. We want you guys to come hang out, have a good time, watch the Royal Rumble, because you never know what's coming on the horizon with this show. Sometimes we don't either. And that's the beauty of it.
And sometimes that's where the magic happens.
All right. Let's do the plugs and get out of here. Visit our website. Actually, I need to change the branding. Hold on. I got to go back to the other one because otherwise it's not going to make sense. Visit our website, www.theclubhousepodcast.com. Find out everything you need to know and some stuff you don't. No new reviews this week, but we got a couple coming next week, so be aware of that. You can follow us on all your social medias, Clubhouse Show on Twitter and the Ticking of the Talking. Everything else is The Clubhouse Podcast, all 3 words in that order, or you will wind up somewhere else. You can follow me on all your social medias if you would like. Everything is Yes, That Rob Irvin. That is spelled ERVIN.
I'm Vexploit on all social media. If you'd like to help out with the show, please go to ProWrestlingTees.com and search for the Cheap Podcast. Now, I also want to throw in real quick, I cannot speak highly enough as well about X-Golf Frisco, and shout out to Rich and Paul and Jason over there. If you go in, let them know we sent you.
Yep.
They're great guys. You're going to have a good time. And if you don't happen to go ahead of time, January 27th, come join us.
Yep.
And to get awesome t-shirts that make me look good, ProWrestlingTees.com/the-cheap-podcast is that URL. At Twitter, I'm Megan Boonoo, IGBNUU. If you want this to manage your place, email me, Don, at theclubhousepodcast.com.
We love doing live remote shows and hanging out with the Empire. Email Don for information on that. You can email me questions, comments, concerns. Tell me to go pound sand. I am Rob at theclubhousepodcast.com. Charlotte Marshall is on Pinterest because we are morally obligated to say that. From a Thursday standpoint, we're off for the next 2 weeks because we've got events to go to, but come join us at the Royal Rumble, and we'll probably figure something else out there too. It might be, I just thought about something. We'll talk about it.
He got that idea.
We'll talk about it off air. We may have something interesting that we have to handle here in about 3 weeks. So until next time, for Alex, for Don, for the Empire, I'm Rob. Clubhouse is closed. Brittany Palmer now doing art commissions. So reach out to her because she does amazing